Good morning, Kalimera. So, what is the Metaverse? You might have heard it. Mark Zuckerberg famously said recently that Facebook is transitioning from being a social media company to becoming a Metaverse company. Many companies have shared similar interests and ambitions before, like Microsoft, graphic companies. But the term comes from actually a kind of science fiction novel from 1992. So it's not something entirely new. It's just that we're getting closer to what we imagine this could be. The metaverse is, if I would describe it, and there's probably many different definitions of it, a coming together of three worlds. One, the physical world. You see here a picture of us on the first night. That's the physical world. That's what we all experience today. The second part is virtual reality. Some of you might have tried it. This is a famous game, Beat Saber, where you're completely in a different universe using glasses today, where nothing is real, everything is virtual. And then you have augmented reality. I don't know how many of you played Pokemon Go, one of the fastest adopted app in history. That is augmented reality. So different than the virtual reality, it is in our physical environment, but we see something that is not there, that is virtual, that is projected there, like the Pokemon that we see today. And the metaverse, if you try to imagine that, is all of the three things combined. So imagine this, that while you are all sitting here, the audience online, that now is online, would sit here as holograms, and you would see them. You would feel a sense of shared space because they're sitting next to you. You can see them as an avatar, as a hologram. They could see you. And at the same time, there are companies today that develop, for example, gloves that you could even shake their hands and you would feel the pressure, how a handshake would feel like. You could see with tracking how their mimic and gesticulation is just by looking at them. That's some of the things that are already there today. But when all of this comes together, at any point in time, that's when there's kind of a state that we call the metaverse. And I think to get a real sense of that, I have a couple of videos depending on the matter of time, and if you are interested to see it, we can take a look at it. But it's really when you immerse yourself into it, then that's when you feel the real power of this. If you ask me, the metaverse is the closest thing that we can come close to teleporting. Teleporting has been a dream of humans, thinking that we can transcend time and space just by jumping somewhere. But this is really, you can be anywhere at any time. Anyone can invite you out of space to be on Mars and discuss with your friends while at the same time calling your grandparent on a video call and them being there. And it's seamless and it's instant and in real time. I called it immerse yourself into your own community always at every given time. You can design your own environment. And I think there's a lot of opportunities in this. Opportunities from, there's already now digital outfits. There are people designing digital outfits, and there are people willing to pay for that. There's always a multiple $100 million industry behind this, of people buying virtual clothes. There's, in the metaverse, as we kind of expect it to be today, is there's no logging in or out. It's just there all of the time as in your experience. There will be holograms next to you if you want them to be there, depending on how you choose to see them. There's also no separate technologies. All of the technologies should be defined as interoperable, so there's no iMessage or WhatsApp that is separate. You can communicate at all times seamlessly without choosing that app, or as you might remember from if you play PlayStation, waiting for the next update to happen. You will have virtual decentralized currencies, and it's literally limitless in opportunities, but also bear in mind new challenges. I'm not going to lie to you and say, oh yeah, it's all going to be amazing. I think that's what's really important, and I ask you to be aware of those, that there will be challenges. And I listed some of those challenges on the next slide. I'm sure there's going to be way more than those. So fasten your seatbelt. There's a lot of things coming. If you thought that social media was fast, imagine a metaverse where holograms can sit next to you, you can do whatever you want, people can do whatever they want, can bring people together in a limitless space. There's even concerts now that have reached 12 million people at the same time. How do you moderate that? How do you bring people together? How do you monitor those trends? And the question I ask myself, coming from a also governance perspective, who is responsible for building public spaces in the metaverse? Will it all be owned by private companies, or will there actually be virtual space designers by governments to bring together places where people come together, discuss, share things, enjoy culture? Who is responsible for safekeeping? At the moment, we really have a big gap that national governments are not really apt to regulate any of the things that are going on in social media. What if we emerge closer to the metaverse faster than we are today, and the speed is already fast? Decentralization will be a key part of that, but how do we ensure that this is really decentralized and not taking a big proportion of big oligopoles that we see today with Google, Facebook, Amazon deciding a lot about the future we all live in? Accessibility, how do we make sure that everyone can participate, doesn't have to participate, so that you're not left out? Not everyone has to be part of the virtual experience at all the times. They can, but making them able to jump in and experience some of the things that we experience should be able for everyone. I think what I'm really passionate about is elections and campaigning. Who makes sure that campaigning and elections are really safe? If there's no limit to spaces, if you can send a hologram to talk to every single individual voter, how do you make sure that this is done right and not manipulating people in a crazy amount? So that's going to be really interesting. And one thing that Aaron talked about, how also debunking misinformation and restoring trust in that space. That is, looks a bit like science fiction, but it's way beyond science fiction, has so many more applications. And with that, I want to close and want to ask you whether you become a digital outfit designer, a conversions fact checker, virtual space, public space designer. Remember me as you put on your glasses in the next 10 to 15 years, because you probably need them, maybe not. I said some kind of glasses. That's what we currently believe, that we'll be able to be part of that community. Remember me and think about kind of all the challenges that are ahead of us and use it responsibly and be part of it, because community and creators will be at the very core of what we believe the metaverse will be. Thank you very much.